Hello. So recently there have been all of these shootings and bombings and a whole bunch of stuff that basically involves hurting and or killing other people. Like, for example, a couple months ago the Sandy Hook massacre, and more recently the Boston bombing. And now, in an effort to keep up with maybe modern events, and because it'll probably be in the subconscious of many people at this moment, I've decided to make a vlog about that and just to express my opinions on that. So because of modern day technology and because of the new culture of the developing world, and basically also because America is one of the, if not the wealthiest nation in the world, Americans and people in general tend to think of their society today as very different from the past, and then Americans tend to think of their society as being different from the past and from the rest of the world. In my home country of Kyrgyzstan, in the southern portion of my homeland, we have many riots in between the Kyrgyz and the Uzbek peoples. Not in America! This viewpoint is proven by the fact many statements are said like this or nearly like this that. In a modern day society like this, do we really have gun violence? Or something like that within, violence and stuff. Unfortunately, violence is nothing new in human history. Therefore, if our society, present and American, well, Canadian too, it's America's biggest suburb. If our society is so new and unique, but the violence which we still experience is still, well, relatively old-fashioned. I mean, violence doesn't really change. Methods of violence, of course, change throughout time. We don't have people sticking each other with spears. Just the basic idea of hate and anger behind violence is never necessarily changed throughout history. So if our society is so new, but our violent ways are still old, is our society so new? Violence stems from the fact, by the way, that we treat people. If a person gets mistreated and gets yelled at constantly, mistreating people often leads to those mistreated people committing acts of violence, whether they're small or big. And if we treat people well, they're bound to treat other people well. So that's just the way that violence is. So therefore, if there's still old-fashioned violence in our new society, then has our treatment of people really changed? Do we still people in the same hateful and angry manner as we used to? Because if we still have the old violence, therefore we have the same treatment, which is bad. So if our mistreatment is bad, what does that say about our society? We still have the same violence, and we still mistreat people in the same old angry way. So is our society so new? Perhaps in technology, yeah. Also, it's the fact that any advice and philosophy and wisdom that was written thousands of years ago about the treatment of people and violence and how to, and stuff like that, which basically all religions deal with, it still goes on today. So that's a good thing that even though we still mistreat people in the same bad way, we can still also follow the advice from millennia ago on how to not mistreat people. Because like I said, religions often talk about how you should treat people. And that's probably why all of the major world religions, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Judaism, and Buddhism, that's why they've existed for so long. They're all thousands of years old. So maybe that's why they're gone on, because their wisdom still holds true. So in reflection, or you were just lazy to watch the whole video and you just waited until I got to this part, violence is caused by the mistreatment of people. If the same old violence happens in a so-called new society, then the same mistreatment happens. If the same mistreatment happens, therefore it's not really a new society no matter what we say. If it's the same old society, we can still follow the same advice from philosophers and theologians from hundreds or even thousands of years ago. That just proves that humans are really the same. CatOwlFilms out.